Manchester United's £40 million mistake has never looked like a better bit of business. Man United came up against a familiar face on Saturday, and Alejandro Garnacho won't want to see his former employers anytime soon. Cancelled trains, and yet another ridiculous kick-off time for an away game in London meant it was never going to be a smooth journey to and from Stamford Bridge for Manchester United supporters. By 10 p.m. on Saturday, any travel chaos or grumbles over unsociable kick-off times had long been forgotten by those in the lower tier of the shed end. United were by no means anywhere near their best, but they dug in when they needed to, produced the game's standout bit of quality, and came up against a Chelsea side whose blunt attack misfired once again. Matheus Cunha's classy finish shortly before half-time ensured those travelling fans went home with smiles on their faces. But the truth is the arduous trip to West London had been made worth well long before Cunha expertly guided his winning goal beyond Robert Sanchez. The previous meeting between the two sides back in September marked the return of Alejandro Garnacho to Old Trafford. The Argentine had burnt his bridges at United a few months prior with an unceremonious exit. And if the reception he received at Stamford Bridge on Saturday night is anything to go by, he'll have been glad the extent of his evening's work at Old Trafford earlier in the season didn't extend beyond a watching brief from the bench. The travelling United fans needed no encouragement to remind Garnacho of their feelings towards him. When the Chelsea forward lost out in a tussle with Diogo Dalot before being tossed to the floor in front of the away section, the cheers that followed were only marginally quieter than the ones that greeted Cunha's goal. When United agreed to sell Garnacho to Chelsea for £40 million, some believed United were making a big mistake. Not necessarily because they were wrong to sell him. His behaviour prior to his exit was in no way acceptable, but more so because the fee seemed so low. Despite that £40 million representing the largest fee United had received for an academy graduate, the callow winger clearly had bags of potential and was nowhere near the end product. 7 months on from his exit, and you'd be hard-pushed to find a Chelsea fan who still believes it was money well spent. Recent reports have claimed Chelsea, already willing to part ways with Garnacho, are a return of just one league goal in 22 outings for the Blues so far. While Garnacho's talent was never in doubt, his attitude was, and it's difficult to see him thriving at a club who seem to be in a constant state of transition and have an inexperienced playing squad led by an equally inexperienced manager. Garnacho was one of the worst performers on the pitch Saturday night. Dalot had his number in their duel on the United right, and Garnacho was at fault for United's winning goal, failing to stop Bruno Fernandes as he teed up Cunha for the winner. If the clash in the capital was Garnacho's chance to prove United were wrong to let him go, then he certainly didn't take it. Chelsea supporters couldn't believe their club had managed to sign a player with such potential for £40 million last summer. It's the United fans who are laughing now. Manchester United players Luke Shaw and Bruno Fernandes teased bad blood with former teammate Alejandro Garnacho following Saturday night's Premier League win over Chelsea. Both United stars took digs at Garnacho on social media following the 1-0 scoreline. That victory almost guarantees Champions League action will return to Old Trafford next season, while severely denting the hopes of a Chelsea side seemingly in free fall. Once the jewel of the United Academy, Garnacho's time with the club met a sudden end last summer when he was sold to Chelsea for around $54 million, £40 million. He'd been dropped by Ruben Amorim over off-field issues as early as the previous December, and was then publicly critical of the manager's decision to put him on the bench for May's Europa League final. Speaking before facing his old team at Stamford Bridge, Garnacho admitted there was some regret over the way he left and revealed that he started to do some bad things behind the scenes. One infamous moment played out in public saw the winger express support for Marcus Rashford by wearing an Aston Villa shirt bearing the England international's name. A video circulating on social media of players in the tunnel before kick-off hinted at a frosty relationship, and one in a United shirt made any effort to engage with Garnacho, despite most playing alongside him for several years. He didn't get off the bench when Chelsea played at Old Trafford within a few weeks of his transfer. That made this his first appearance against his former team, and he was routinely booed by the away section at Stamford Bridge. Another video from the end of the match showed several United players walk past Garnacho while leaving the pitch, and none extend an arm to offer a post-game handshake. Shaw's social media post featured a typical caption after a successful match: "Important win," but it was the choice of image, one of him knocking Garnacho to the floor, that drew attention. United fans, sensing the pointed picture selection, found it hilarious. One called it savage, while another commented, "I see what you did there,